come in. A good day to be doing a webinar and being distracted from good old Prime Day, which we're all needing to take a break from. I'm sure it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
The first comments coming in is that it's interesting. Some brands are saying they're doing pretty well, but I think the general feeling is it's a little bit down, right? Amazon's a little greedy. Amazon's a little, yeah.
I would say most brands, I think, see a lift. Some are seeing it similar to last year, and others are just seeing it span a small amount across the days, having strong day threes too. So it's interesting.
Amazon's greedy. They're trying to make this a whole week, and it doesn't become special anymore. They do it a few times. So yeah, we'll see where it rolls. But in general, I think also brands are a little bit smarter about how you discount, making sure the profit's there, that even that little lift is going to make a big difference to the business, right? So it's not like crazy days where it was massive discounts, and it's all smarter, I think, in its approach. Anyway, we have a bunch of people that will be coming in. So please, if you are coming in, please drop a comment, tell us where you're from, and anything else you want to tell us about would be great. This has been a great series. I'm going to introduce everyone here in a second, but this is the series that we run once a month with our agency and service provider partners. It's really touted as behind the secret curtain, secrets from agencies, strategies, tactics. What can we help educate you on and help you with so that you get more profitable growth on your Amazon channels? That's really what we are about. So we've got some really cool partners today, both in Tana and Eli. We're going to let them introduce themselves in a second, but really today it's kind of got a theme, which is cool, which is around, really conversion on Amazon, around your images, around conversion. It's funny. It's such a critical piece, but we still see massive brands today that just don't focus on it, right? And you can see massive changes there that will make a big difference to the business. And now with obviously AI technology and even algorithmic changes, what is in the image and what's being read there by AI, not images customers, is so critical to your growth. So we're going to jump into that and talk about it, through today's session, how we roll. Hey, what's happening? Tina from Seattle, Abby from Australia, and Saba from the US. Nice to see you guys coming in. JK, thank you for jumping in. Drop your chat, drop your comments there, guys, your questions. So how we roll today, it's going to be an hour. This is really about being, concise with our time each and doing 10 to 15 minutes max, talking about, what you want to teach our audience here today, live and in the replay. There will be a replay. I know the questions coming. And then, we'll have a Q&A at the end where we'll spend some time and just answer some questions and, do more of that fireside chat. And that's how we roll. It's really engaging, both to you and Tana, Eli. If you have questions, comments as we go, we can have a banter. If you want to answer some questions in the chat, you can do that. If you have ways for people to get in touch with you after you talk, you can drop that in the chat. Please, we want everyone here to reach out and connect with you if they feel that there's something more there and they want to talk with you. So, all about visuals today, conversion. Let's start with Tana. Oh, we just lost Eli. Well, he'll be back in a second. But Tana, why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know what's happening on your side of Utah.
Yeah. Well, Utah is flat, dry, hot, but lots of mountains. I have a Jeep. I take it out driving. So Utah's great. My name's Tana Cofer. I've been in the marketplace growth space from the start of my career. This is where I've lived, and I love it. I run a boutique agency helping smaller to medium-sized brands grow. So if you have a product idea, you just kind of got selling on your D2C, and you want to work with professionals and experts, you'd come to someone like me, and we would help kind of get you set up, talk you through how to do it either in a coaching capacity, or we would kind of just run the whole show for you. So that's what I do. That's what my agency does. Fairly new agency, but not new to the space. We've just pulled in some expert people into my network to help brands grow.
Yeah, awesome. And Tana and I have talked a lot, and you'll get a sense from this. She's very passionate about the space and has a deep sense of expertise. So questions around what she talks about is great. Other questions you have will be great too. She'll be able to jump in and answer all of those. Eli, all the way from Israel, tell us what's happening over there, and why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Well, not much. It's a quiet evening in Israel today. So not as you know, some evenings tend to be a little bit less quieter lately, but it's quiet today, so it's all good. Well, I run an agency that's focused mainly on Amazon images. This is the thing that we're most known for. And in an essence, we take existing Amazon listings or take new Amazon listings. We prepare images and videos, copywriting, and everything for them. And it spikes their conversion 15 to 200% more than they had before, at an average of 29%. So that's what we do in an essence. So that's awesome. That's pretty much it. There's a whole lot of complex things going behind the scene, and like how we do it. That's an interesting part. But I'm going to be sharing some of the insights in my presentation today.
100%. And we're in the trenches. We see this every day. Both on the technology side, on the services side. 110%. Images make such a critical difference to a business. Product first, of course, but how you represent that and how you call that out is so critical. But yet, like that monkey see, monkey do. It's just been happening for so long that the people put so much effort into their product. Then they weren't putting effort into like their launch, but they weren't putting money and effort into their images. And you kind of scratch your head because you've put so much and you've invested so much into your product. Why are you not having the best launch strategy and the best creative that can just blow everyone's mind, right? So that's been a common theme over the last 15 years with Amazon, right? Like people are going on Fiverr and trying to do the images, and you're like, okay, cool. You just spend $100,000 on your product development and your stock, but yet you're going to spend $5 on your image. It doesn't make sense, right? And you still see big brands today that are just not, really, looking how to do it better and different to everyone else out there, right? And the cool part about AI and technology right now is like, you can get so much more of that input and brainstorming around how to do things differently and the research and everything around that. I'm going to talk a lot about that. I'm sure you guys are as well. But the point is like that is like phenomenal input that then experts with creativity can take that and then finalize that visual and blow everyone out of the water, and it makes a massive difference. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about obviously AI, how you can use research on that. We're going to be talking about conversions, everything else that everyone's going to talk about here. Let's jump into it. Again, a few more people coming in. Sean, Tampa, cool. JK, I knew that question was coming. Yes, there will be a replay. Mayon, whoa, good to see you, my man. South Africa, like me. I know Mayon. I've actually met him in person. Super cool dude. If you are looking for growth on Amazon South Africa, he is the man to talk to for sure. All right, let's jump in. I'm going to present first. Again, on the clock. I'm going to run 10 minutes and then roll over to everyone else. And we're going to keep it tight and on point here. Let's just set my timer for myself. And I'm going to share my screen and go for it. Again, guys, questions you have, comments, put them in the chat. We want to. All right, let me see. Okay. I've just opened Firefox. Here we go. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, guys. I just downloaded Firefox because there was a problem. Let's see if I share my screen. We might have to have Evo help me out here. Share screen. All right, can you guys see my presentation?
Yeah, it's on. That's okay, right, it's perfect. On.
Awesome. Sorry about that. Okay, you guys can see my screen, right? Cool.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So again, we've talked about this. So I'm going to jump out of that. If you don't know ZonGuru, we are a technology tool set. We've been around since 2018. We have evolved that technology tool set to be very AI forward. We have management systems, tools ready to help you with profitable growth on Amazon. You can self-serve and you can sign up. You can be one of our premium partners, and we can be working with you to grow yourself on Amazon. We have a big lead in content for listings, and ways to really use agentic models to automate and update in bulk a bunch of content on your SEO listings to really align with the algorithm and with customers. That's content, of which images are a piece of that as well. We're doing a lot of work on that, and what I'm going to give you an insight in today is some of the beta MVP tools that we're creating internally to use on some of our brands and some of our premium clients, to really get at how to make your images better and how to connect with customers in a better way. So I'm going to be talking about that, but you can sign up, you can check out our tools. There's ways you're going to be able to connect with me if you want to get in and start using a lot of our tools across all the Amazon marketplaces specifically. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Maybe people are too young for this, but there used to be a show, Pimp My Ride. We're talking about Pimp My Image here with DMX. And how do you improve your images, and specifically your carousel for the algorithm and obviously for customer conversion? I'm going to show you and talk a little bit about that. Your image carousel is critical, right? So we know, I look at it every day, like it's moving between 60 to 80%, or maybe 50 to 80% mobile versus desktop. Images are critical in your conversion. What is the narrative that you're telling in those images? And it used to be mostly based on customers, right? What are the customers seeing? They can convert. You get a better conversion rate. You're obviously going to start to rank better. But with the latest changes in the algorithm, it's also about how do you align with the algorithm, what it's looking for, because it is reading everything in your images, right? Take your image and drop it into ChatGPT. Ask it, hey, what is in your image? It's going to tell you, right? Amazon is doing the same thing. So customers buy with their eyes, yes. What's the narrative that you're telling in the carousel, right? When you scan it, what are people getting from that? How is it different to what else is out there? What's your 3-funnel conversion metrics? Clearly, what are how many clicks you're getting on your main image? How are people clicking through, adding to cart, converting? Those are all really good signs of how you can spike the algorithm and get better ranking. What does Rufus and Cosmo read in your images to align with the algorithm? Even down to like what's the metadata on the back end, right? What is it seeing in that? We're doing a lot of work on that front as well, which is pretty interesting. And then what makes you stand out and connect with customer sentiment, right? So you can do all these things, but if you truly don't understand what your customer wants, and what they want now, and what's the feedback you're getting from customer sentiment through reviews, etc., you're missing the boat, right? And you're gonna be saying the same thing as all your other competitors and not finding the thing that makes you different, or that your customers want that makes you stand out. So that's a really important piece. That's a long time strategy, but we have better ways of accessing those kind of data points like customer sentiment, etc. Okay, so what I'm going to show you right now is a deep research tool that we've created, and we're using internally to help brands. And certainly, there's theories in what I'm showing you that you can take and you can work with OpenAI, ChatGPT. You can get some of these insights yourself. I think we obviously have done all that work already, so you'll be able to access and use ours. But we don't overlay just AI and agentic models, but we actually are pulling a lot of that data from the APIs, right? Product Opportunity Explorer report, other pieces that we have there to get at information on the front end, but also on the back end to help you solve these problems. So we built an agentic model. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's essentially a few different specialist agents that are working together to solve a problem, right? And what this one does is it really analyzes your whole product niche. So if you're selling Olipop or healthy soda, who's in your niche, who the players, and analyzing that whole space to really help you determine. There's a couple of points here, but we get inputs from the brand. What is their USP? We also look at, based on the analysis, what do we see as the USP of that brand? We then unveil common themes across the top 25 competitors. What are they putting in the images, their benefit overlays? What are they calling out? And then we intersect that with buyer review sentiment, right? What customers actually want. And that's gold, right? Because if you can bring your USP, your top 25 competitors, and your buyer review sentiment together and find where the opportunities are, that's what you need to then bring out in your research so that your creative team can execute on that, right? And that was the idea behind this report, is how can we, you speak to consultants, big players in space who spend hours and hours on research. We've shown our documents to what they have internally, and they're like, hey, this is pretty close, or hey, you're seeing stuff we're not seeing. And we've done it in a matter of minutes, right? So that's the power of what AI is best at, is like doing the research to give humans, experts, the inputs they need to be better in their execution. So we have this crazy report that we put together. I'll show you what that is. And then we took it a step further. We then take the full report and then we feed it into OpenAI as a prompt and say, hey, okay, all the recommendations you have, give us a visual guideline. So, at this point, it is a visual guideline, and I think it'll be for a while. But being able to have the research and the visual guideline to then get your creative team to execute on that is just unbelievable gold, right? It makes a massive difference. You get better lifts, better conversions, and you go from there. So I'm going to just show you an example here. By the way, we do it for the A+ content as well, but I'm just focusing on the the carousel right now. This is a big brand in the US. They do sunscreen. They do bug spray. Super cool company, cool people. They came to us and they were like, hey, give us some feedback. Let's look at this bug spray. And we've run some analysis there. They full well, they know that they are going to be working more on it. So they're trying to get input from us early on. We run the full carousel check. This is information that goes into the AI, but we can see here, like all the different brands, like how, at a high level, what are they actually communicating? It's actually the bottom one here that's probably the best. It's actually cut off, unfortunately, but it's really good at communicating their differences and why they are, how to use their product, why they're different, what's important in their carousel, right? We then, all the API data that we have, all of that top 25 data that we have, we feed it into this agentic model and we spit out this report. It's about a 20-page report that covers everything from like, hey, what do you need to do on SEO? Looking at your images, what are competitors focused on? It goes image by image. This is what competitors are talking about. This is what your USP is. This is what you should call out different. This is what customers are looking for, right? And it goes through and makes recommendations for every single image. This is the purpose of this report, is to give it to your creative team as this creative requirements brief that then they can execute on. Like all the hard work around, some of the differences for your brand are there, right? And then we spit out things like main image, right? You can see, clearly with main image being bolder, standing out is so critical. But this idea of 3-hour protection came from customer sentiment, right? They're looking for this longer protection for a natural, mosquito repellent, right? And so that being front and center on the main image is critical. We looked at the infographic and some of the things they called out, but some other things that were really important, and different, right? The shake and sprays, etc. It's very, very important from the customer sentiment. And then lifestyle images. I'm just showing you 3 in this case, but this brand is focusing on like, hey, the hiker, the individual. Whereas what we were getting from the research was like, hey, the family idea of like, how do you protect your family with this natural spray was a much more powerful connection with customers, right? So these are the typical insights that you can then bring, to brands so that you can create a big lift in your product, right? All right, my 10 minutes is up, but I'm almost finished. Here's another example. This is one of our partners. They wanted to run this as a test. This is some of the current images that they have from one of their clients. Confetti decoration on top of cupcakes, etc. Right? What we got from the report was like, hey, people really wanted to see the detail of the product in a lot more focus, right? So really showing like the differences here. Like this one is really cool, right? It's showing you, hey, like these are the different pieces that make up the ingredients in there, right? And like, I mean, you can see this is almost at their level where like, hey, you could potentially even use this, but like, how is that as like a visual brief going into a creative team, and what could they do with that versus what's on the left is pretty powerful, right? So we have all of these as part of the model. Okay, so if you guys want to access that, there is a beta. We're testing it. We're only getting a few people here to get on and test it with. It's going to be free. The first 10 live here will get it free, and then the first 10 in the replay. I'm not forgetting about the replays, live, but that's cool. You'll get it free as well. The most important thing is that you must qualify, right? I'm giving you access literally to my Calendly to book 15 minutes with me, so we can talk about this, connect your data, and then go ahead and run this this beta. So in the form, if you don't fill it out properly, I'm not going to take it, right? So fill in the details on there. Add in the notes section, hey, pimp my images, or just reference the webinar so we know it's coming through this, because this is literally to my Calendly link. You'll get 15 minutes. You can grab 15 minutes with me. Go to zonguru.link/growth-report-15. It's 15 minutes. We're going to connect. Fill in your details there, put in your storefront, and then we'll run an analysis like this for you, and give you that for free. And all we expect there is like good connections and a good response rate. You must be selling on Amazon for sure. This is important that you're on Amazon. There are some qualifications in there, so put them in. And if you qualify, you'll jump on with 15 minutes with me, and we can jam on this. And if you want to throw in a question at the end, you can too. That's it. All right. I'm gonna end there, and I'll drop this link into the comments, so it'll be there for you. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen if I can figure out on. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna stop sharing, and we're gonna jump over to Tana. But any comments there, Eli, Tana? What do you think? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I think images are really important. It's the first thing that I was going to just, hint on for like 30 seconds. And I definitely agree. And if there's a way to leverage a tool like yours to help really understand what needs to be done, so you're not constantly retrying, new things, I think that is super beneficial to brands.
Awesome. Good. Well, I'm glad to hear. Okay. Eli, anything? Oh, you're on mute as well. You're on mute.
That's not on me. Yeah, so all right. So here I am, not on mute. Well, first of all, this is a very, very deep dive into the images, and I like the ideas. Being a graphic designer, just seeing the ideas that AI comes up with, really, really good stuff, of course. I just wanted, for people who will be using that, depending on the specific niche, niche that you're using on Amazon, sometimes you have also to go out of Amazon and check the websites of big brands that are selling this stuff, because sometimes Amazon is too niche and sometimes it's too neglected. And if you have all the competitors using really bad graphics and not really having good ideas inside their listings, then, they say if we were only basing our decisions on focus groups as a humanity. So now we would be riding very, very good and fast horses. All right. So we need cars. We need sport cars here.
Exactly. And I think it's an awesome point. And I remember back in the day when I was launching products on Amazon, what we kept saying to people is you're creating a product, and you should be looking at the best brands in the world right now, because you can literally create something that can compete at that level, right? So the Ferraris, the Gucci's, whatever your product is, right? Make sure you're comparing and creating stuff that can stand out versus them, right? Because you're getting a platform where, there's brand, there's brand awareness and loyalty, but you're about intent right now, and you can compete on that level. So I totally get that point. It's a really good point.
Well, this said that Amazon is a big pie, and we have people on Amazon who are buying this stuff from you or from the other guys. So if you learn from them, and if you get to get your piece of pie bigger, then you're golden. And your tool does that in a magnificent way. I have to say that.
Good. Okay, Tana, the floor is yours. Let's jam.
Yeah. So let me share my screen.
Yeah, it's coming up. And guys, keep the questions coming. If you drop questions in, we will have time at the end to come back to it. So please do drop your questions in, and we'll let's jump in. Okay, Tana.
Do you see my slides?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about a few just kind of conversion secrets trying to help your listings. I start by also talking about main images really quickly. I have literally one slide for it. I'll just brief it.
Yeah,
and then also
please.
if there's 50 characters of your title and the way to best structure it. And then talk about pricing and how to showcase the value there, because there's lots of different ways to showcase price. Then I talk about a few off-platform traffic opportunities that I recommend you leverage that are, free. And then lastly, just kind of the impact of video. So, 10 minutes, let's head right in. So just kind of a first example. And I know that we're already talking about images, but just even small changes to the images. Like, for example, you have to have product packaging displayed, but it doesn't have to be plain and boring, right? You can call out things. So for example, the image on the left, it was the original image we were handed. And then we then said, okay, well, right now protein is huge. Sometimes like having 1 gram of sugar, 0 sugar, like those call outs are big, but right now it's high protein. So can we make that just a little bit bigger? And then, okay, can we make the 12 count a little bit bigger? Can we add the product packaging, like the actual bar to the outside of the box? Just little things there actually really impact the listing and the click-through rate of your product, especially in a very competitive category, like for example, protein bars are. And just this test alone, we were able to do it in the managed experiments test. And this new one, had a 2x click-through rate and a 2.5x growth in conversion rate. So now we're redesigning the rest of the line because clearly the main image needed to be updated. So this is one of those things where, we already talked about that, but just constantly running experiments, I personally recommend. If you already know your listing image isn't great, you just want to launch the new image, that's totally fine. But if you have enough traffic, I always recommend you go into Seller Central and you do it in the manage experiment section, just so that you can get like the clear data that indicates, okay, this new image is the best option for you. And then just continually testing. So I'm not going to talk more about images since we already did, but also moving into the title. The first 80 characters are just the most important. You got to think about mobile users when they're scrolling and what are the key things that they want to see. This is the formula that I recommend, and it works about 90% of the time. Every category is slightly different, but basically you follow this parameters. You start with the brand name, then you do the exact keyword or keyword. So what is your product exactly? And what is basically the highest search volume keyword that someone would search for this item? So slipper, right? Men's moccasin. Then you add the top benefit and your differentiator. So what makes you different? And they need to be able to see that very quickly, especially if your brand name isn't very well known. So for example, I have 2 here. So one is like Alpine Swiss. So that this is like they do men's apparel. So we have Alpine Swiss, we have men's moccasin slippers, because I wanted moccasin and slippers and men right away. That's what the item is. These are the top keyword search, and I wanted to index for it. Then we added, with suede, because that's what it is. And then we added the slip-on house shoes with memory foam insoles. Now, these are the differentiators and the top benefits of using their slipper. Then after that, because you have, depending on category, you have 200 characters you can use. You can then add other keywords you want. But the first 80 characters, the very beginning, this is the formula I recommend that you apply, and you can do this now. And then the kind of bottom one, I have another one, so Stupid Happy, they are a tanning brand. They just launched on Amazon. Their main keyword they want to win, is self-tanning mitt. And the mitt applicator is also a big keyword. So we added that. Their differentiator and top benefit is that they have the thumb in the mitt. So they're not just like, a mitt that covers everything. They have a thumb on it. And then they have the velvet. So those are the top benefits and the differentiators. So we have that at the very beginning. And then afterwards, you could add all the different moose tanning mitt. Like you could add all the other keywords that are relevant you want to index for. But this is the most important. And this is the way I recommend structuring that. So feel free to screenshot, take notes, whatever you need. But this is kind of what you could apply today. So that second one is pricing. Now we're talking about how to increase your conversion, right? But to increase your conversion, you need to increase your click-through rate. So the main image has to be compelling, right? The top keywords, the way that you structure that needs to be compelling. And these are not my brands. These are just, examples that I took from online, but those obviously need to be compelling. But then the other one is your price. So not only do you want to be a price that seems good quality for the item, but how you display it matters. So here I have 4 examples. I'm not featuring lightning deals or brand tailored promotions because those are separate way that they're viewed, but these are the main 4 you often see. This first one is that event pricing. So this is showing like Prime Day deal. I just like snapped one of these. So you have the Prime Day deal badging, you have the typical price, you have the sale price, all of that featured. Then you have this next option. That's the coupon. So this is how it would be displayed. You have the green badging, and it has what you pay, or it has what you save, so that you can see like the call out, the highlight is nice. It's green, like, you know, it does draw your attention. So that's kind of the second option. And then you have promotions. So this is, for example, when you wanted to do like a buy one, get one, if you want to do 5% off of one, 10% off of two, 15% off of three, if you see those, that's in the promotion section, and this is what it looks like. And then you have that slash price. So as you can see, there are so many ways to display your price, like your main price, but then also your discounted price. The last one that's a slash price is pretty common, not necessarily during this week because this is Prime Week, so you're going to see all these badges, but you can see a list price, and then they're showing you that they're giving you a discount, they're giving you a deal, which can look good. So I just kind of wanted to showcase all of these options so you can see there are so many ways to showcase my price on Amazon, and the question is what's best, right? What is the best way to do it? From my research, from my understanding, from the data that I've personally seen in my tenure, the best would be the left, the event pricing. When you have an event running, you get the Prime Day deal badge, which is really compelling. It makes it seem like it's only for a short period of time. This would be for Prime Day. It could be for holiday deal, any type of deal submission. But you also get to be on the deals page. The coupon page on Amazon is not scrolled and looked at very, very commonly. So, but a deal page or a holiday page is. And so you have that additional, like you're not only on the search results page, but you're also on a deals page, which gives you that additional visibility, which is nice. But then just in general, this is a more compelling offer. And then the coupon would be next. I literally have it in order of actually my preference. The coupon would be next. So you have the green badge, which is really nice. It tells them exactly what they save. It's compelling. They can click, they can see the deal. It looks great. The promotions is the third. And I have that as the third because it's kind of confusing to people when you see 5% off. Okay, well, what is the price? The price isn't right there. You have to click in to see the deal. And then this is the one that has like multiple different options, 5% off of one, 10% off of two. And it can get kind of confusing to the customer when they just want to click, grab their self-tanner, click buy, add to cart, go. So the simpler we can make it, the better. And then the last one is the slash price. Totally fine, a free option, but as you can see, there's no like clear badging. It's hard to actually see that it's on sale. The list price is so small now, so it's pretty hard to see. On this next slide, I actually showcased a few of these kind of details. So this event, like it has a fee, so you can see the downsides. It has a fee, but it's the most compelling. And badges get a 300 to 500% lift during the period of time. And it's because of that urgency you're giving the customer. You know, it's kind of like sending an email like we only have, or an SMS message from like a D2C site saying it's only going to run for like a day. So you have that urgency, whereas a coupon doesn't give you that urgency. And then you have a coupon, which has a fee. It is visually compelling, but that average lift is typically less. It's maybe you'll get a 2x lift, but it tends to see a quick dip. And then promotions, similarly, no fee, which is nice. It is visually compelling, but it doesn't have a very strong lift. We see an average of 50%, but it's really only if you put a bunch of ad dollars behind that product. And then the slash price, you know, you could get a lift for sure. We do see an average, but again, it's through pushing ads. It's not necessarily from an increased click-through rate, and it's very hard to see. So this is kind of my recommendations from a pricing perspective. Is it's not as simple as, well, let's just discount our item 25%. It's okay. How are we going to do it? Do we want to do this? How is it going to be displayed? And my recommendation is you do an event, you enroll in one of those, or you do a coupon. That's my personal opinion. now I just wanted to kind of showcase, because there's a lot of different options. I just wanted to show you in the console. Coupons are on all these discounts are on the advertising tab, and there's so many different sections of them. So I just wanted to show you, this is where it is. The deals section is where you do the lightning deals, those best deals. The coupons are where I told you have the badge of coupons. The price discounts is where you submit for events. And subscribe and save discounts, things like that. The promotions is the buy one, get one, the social promo codes, the 10% off of 2, that's where that is. And then that brand tailored promotion, we're not talking about today, but those are very custom on the detail page promotions. So this is kind of where all of that lives. I know Amazon's made it pretty messy to know where to run deals, so I wanted to make it super clean and easy to see. So my favorite way to increase the conversions on your page is actually driving off-platform traffic. And this is not because you're getting quote unquote easy sales, because there are already people who, buy your item on D2C and you're sending them over. That's not what I'm saying. It's more like driving traffic that was already going to come to you and just getting a kickback. So let me kind of go into more in depth here. So what is off-platform traffic? It's driving traffic from other channels over to Amazon. I have an example on the right of a brand that in their in their Instagram bio, they have shop the brand, they have their new products, and then they have buy on Amazon. They have this because they are on Amazon, and that's where you can get the 1-day shipping. And so they're letting their consumers know. However, what they've done is if you click this link, if you click buy on Wimpro on Amazon, they've actually embedded an attribution link that gives them a 10% kickback from any sales that come here. What this basically does, it's through Amazon's attribution beta. It basically is waiving the referral fee is one way to look at it. They're waiving the Amazon fee that they take, and they're letting you get the item, letting the consumer get the item basically the same price as they would on your D2C. Not perfect, but very similar. And Amazon is going to reward you for sending them over. So that's one of the key benefits of doing this, of course, is Amazon, or consumers trust Amazon. They have the reviews. There's trust. They get the fast shipping. The next benefit is the kickback. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that on the next slide, is that 10% kickback that you get from doing this. And the last one is Amazon truly does reward you in better search results placements for doing this, because they know that these items are, because if you direct people from here over to Amazon, they're very likely to convert. They're higher qualified buyers. They're not just searching, pet supplements. They're actually looking for you, and they see you on Amazon. So your conversion rate goes up. Therefore, your conversion rate, your detail page conversion rate goes up, and Amazon serves you more. So that's the obvious. But then Amazon has shared, like in their reports, that with that improved conversion rate and driving external traffic that they can see, they are going to give you desirable, better placement, because that's what they will do. It's how the algorithm is working right now. So we launched very small brands on Amazon. That's what we focus on, is helping you get started and get going. And if you have an email list, if you have traffic, we do recommend sending it there, because that is a quick way to get to page 1 with only like 30 reviews, because Amazon, your conversion rate is higher, right? Because they're clicking a link, they're buying immediately. Their conversion rate's higher, and Amazon just rewards you for using those links. So this next slide, I just kind of showed you that this is what the brand attribution graph looks like. This is not a graph to show you, wow, we do such a great job. This is a graph to show you the data that you can see if you use these links. These links are in the Amazon attribution, or in the campaign manager under Amazon attribution. You basically just grab a link. You can create one for Instagram, create one for email, and you just embed it into the URL. So if people were to click and buy, you get that 10% kickback. And I'm all about taking money back from Amazon. So some tips here when using this is, when you create these campaigns and you're wanting to get that 10% kickback for driving people from other channels to Amazon, track all the items. Put all of them in. Even though you're taking them maybe to your top seller, put all of the items in to track. So you can track that halo effect too. So if they were to buy, 2 items, you're getting the attribution, the kickback for both. So add all of them. My other recommendation is when you create these campaigns, separate them by the different channels. Because if you're going to drive traffic, you want to see what works, right? And here you can see in the graph, you can see the click-through rate. You'll see the detail page views, the add to carts, the purchases, the sales driven. You'll see all of that here. And if you separate it by channel, you can then see, wow, my email that I sent about Prime Day, just saying, hey, we're on sale, actually drove, 7 sales, and I got this kickback from that. Or Instagram, the Instagram link in bio, man, it's not working very well, but my Instagram story posts, when I post it there, that is working. So it just gives you that additional piece of data so you know where these attribution links are working and how to better test that. And then the lastly is this is a great way to start kind of influencers on Amazon. And we do this for brands too. And you can create separate links and give these to affiliates or things like that, so that when you pay their commission, you are also getting that kickback, because profit is so hard on Amazon. So this can allow you to kind of continue that kickback through influencer marketing. And then lastly, I'm coming up on time. Just lastly, that video. Video is huge. And not only does it look good, it's well, yeah, I need to add a video, but actually the data says that you need to add video. So from a psychology perspective, the video tells them exactly how to apply the tanner, how to set up the desk. It reduces all the uncertainty, and it gives you that authenticity and trust in the item that you're actually going to get what you're looking for. And then from a data perspective, it really does reduce the return rates. Whenever we add a video to our apparel brands, we always see the return rates go down, because they can see that it fit, that they can see the exact fit, they can see how to style it, they can see what it's going to look like on a body, because you don't always know. And so this can help do that, and it can help remove that frequently returned badge that's been popping up everywhere the past year or so. It can help remove that badge because you're not getting those increased returns. And then, of course, the Amazon Marketing Cloud shared a report that listings with product videos see up to a 3.6x higher purchase rate. So it gives them more confidence to be able to buy the item at the end of the day. So I know I talk fast. Hopefully this was all helpful. Just kind of in conclusion, the biggest things are that main image, of course, we talked about. Those first characters, you just want to make that listing look really good and have the right pricing strategy so that your listing looks super compelling if they were to click. And then how to drive off platform traffic. I'm super passionate about that. Happy to talk more about that one-on-one with any of your brands. And then lastly, just adding those videos. And yeah. Any thoughts, guys?
Yeah,
wow, that was insightful. Amazing. Definitely.
Yeah, I didn't talk too fast.
No, all good. How do people get in touch with you? What's the best way? Maybe drop it in the chat as well.
Yeah.
If they want to reach out, what's the best way?
Yep. My LinkedIn is obviously great, but I'll also put my email here as well. And I see some questions. I'll go through and answer these questions that I saw in the chat.
Wow. Yeah, and we'll come back to, but you can also answer in the chat as well. Yeah, I think that was epic. I agree with every point that you have there. 2 comments that I would have there is what you said in the title is on point for sure. I think one thing that we also see, which is pretty interesting, is, and where AI is good is, without overstuffing the listing with exact matches, right? If you could broad match for your top relevant terms in your title, outside of those places that you've focused, that makes a massive difference to juicing the algorithm. And AI is really good at doing that, because it's hard in theory it sounds easy, but it's actually quite hard to do, right? And make sense of it, right? So I think that's one thing that we see is a pretty good ad.
I was just going to add, I think what people do a lot is they go into ChatGPT, they say, okay, make my title better. And they're going to make it better by adding all these beautiful keywords. But it's there's a structure that makes sense. So if you at least fed it with, hey, I want better keywords, I want a better structure, but please follow these parameters, yes, you're going to get a way better title.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And then one other thing on pricing, which we're playing with, which we see a pretty significant impact, is you had it in one of your things, which is the price per fluid ounce or per ounce or whatever it is, yep, right? And so really thinking about hey, within your PDP, are there ways you could bundle products, maybe have a little bit of a loss leader on one? How does that come through on the search results page? And if you can get that fluid ounce down, people look at that, right? It's it's $45 versus 40, but this is $3 an ounce versus $5 an ounce or whatever, yep, it is. So,
Yeah.
bundling can play with that. And we see a big impact on click-through rate on search result pages there as well.
Agreed. Perfect.
Okay, Eli, you're up, man. We might run a little bit longer than on the hour. If you guys are good, we'll keep going. But Eli, you've got your 10, 15 minutes.
I'll make it. I'll make it relatively quick. So first of all, let me start sharing my screen and let me start talking about that. Am I on?
Not yet.
All right.
No, we don't see your screen.
Okay, great. We do. Do we see my screen?
No.
Nope. I did my screen sharing. All right, let me do it once again. Share screen. Entire screen. Share.
There we go.
Yep.
All right, great. So I'm going to be talking about the visual language of quality. So actually, how can we show the quality of our product through the images? And I would like to make it conversational, okay? Because I don't have so much of real tips, but I want you to think about it to get the overall idea. But first, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Eli Gitelman, and I'm the CEO of Other Planet Product Photography Studio. And what we do, we amp the conversion rate by 15 to 200% for existing Amazon listings after switching to our product photography and graphic design, 29% on average. And we are usually talking about like the products that were already optimized and re-optimized once again. So that's what we do. And that's why I think that I have a say in this. So we know a thing or two about images. So how we communicate product quality with graphic design and branding. And first of all, when I'm talking about branding, you usually think, hey, I want to sell you a logo. I really don't think that logo plays such a big role in Amazon. But anyway, let's try to define branding. And that's a good question. Tana, John, what do you think a brand is?
Brand is what it's the emotional, the emotional and visual picture that someone has inside of their head around your brand, right?
That's a good understanding, definitely. Tana, what do you think? What the brand is?
I'm just gonna ditto John.
Okay, so first of all, this is a good definition. I like it. People that are not from the marketing, they might say, hey, this is your logo, this is your colors and your fonts and things like that, which is completely not true. And what John said is really very, very close to the truth. There is a quote from Jeff Bezos, who might know a thing or two about brands. He said, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And that's smart, and I like this idea. And I have been quoting this for years when speaking about branding and when selling brands to do their logos, to do their graphic design. But actually, it doesn't make much sense. Okay, so this was people say about you in the room, but what can you do with that? What's the action points here? And then I found another definition. Didn't come up with this, but I found another definition. And also one thing that is not, by the way, that branding is not just what people say, because it differs from advertising. Sometimes people say, okay, branding is what people know about you and what people think about you, but this is not exactly true. Like marketing and advertising is like asking someone on a date, and branding is the deep inside reason they say yes. It's sometimes emotional. It's sometimes not they know about you, because like everybody knows that Coca-Cola might be very sugary and might, do some things with your health, but they do drink it. They know it, but they drink it. Why? Because there is much deeper thing inside of that. And I would say that brand is connection. So branding is deliberate pairing of some outcome or some association, pairing it with a product. And we're looking for this pairing to be appealing for the target audience. We want target audience that know something good about someone or something, to take these good things that they think and to connect it with the brand. For example, Nike and Michael Jordan. This was one of the very, very successful connections. There were a lot of unsuccessful connections, and I guess you know some of them. But this is an idea that branding happens all the time. It just happens. It's always, your brand is always connected to something. But good branding happens deliberately. And if you make a good branding decision and connect your branding to a right person or to a right association, it's going to do wonders to your products. Now, when we're talking about Amazon, unless Michael Jordan or some other celebrity is their personal friend, they might not have a budget to connect with a special celebrity or something like this. So what we're going to do in this case, we take product images and we design them in a way that they resemble those of big brands, if we do it right. Do not steal, do not just take Apple's font, which is, by the way, copyrighted and cannot be used outside of Apple products, but don't steal. Be inspired by things that big brands do, because they have put a lot of effort in choosing the colors, in choosing the images, the fonts, the tone of voice they're speaking with. So use that. And by the way, you can really reuse it and reshake it with the AI tools and get a result that would be similar but more or less authentic. So if you do it right, then you can upscale how your product looks on Amazon substantially. Now, for example, a few examples from our specific work, and I swear these are not our best images. I just the things that we have done in the last couple of months. So here we have this tent, this thing that looks like a tent. It's actually a golf net, and you can practice golf by, with that. So this on the right, we see the image that other seller uses, and it has a italic, like oblique font here, and it's very crowded, and the colors are a little bit off, and it just doesn't speak to people who play golf, which are usually, but let's say higher society, higher income. They want to see high quality fonts. They want to see cleaner images. The house would look more or less like that, I would say, the minimum. So we go and we create something cleaner, and it works better. Or for example, this is the before and after image, actually, like this is the after image. This is a drink printer, a cool machine, made mostly not for consumer use, but by business use. It costs around $205,000, like it's, $2,500, of course, pretty expensive. And this image doesn't do good to a machine that costs this high number. So we create something that looks better and upscale, posh place, cocktails, things like that. And this works. This really connects with the actual buyer who wants this machine in their restaurant. Another case of before and after thingy, just choosing the right model and the model that actually uses the product instead of just stock image could work and could bring way more conversions. And like this one, for example, this is a very nice yoga blocks, and this is the best seller in the niche, by the way. So, but if we bring nice fonts and if we bring like these shapes that resemble something from yoga, something spiritual, something emotional, we might just happen to steal some buyers from the leader, and this is what's actually happening. And just a few other quick examples. If we want to do an electronic device, we would go and create clean high-tech images, clean high-tech designs. If we are doing something for kids, we're going to be doing vibrant, childish fonts, things like that. We're going to show kids actually using the product, things like that. If we're doing something for dogs, for pets, we want this to look cute. If you're doing something for sports, we want this to look sporty. A really simple idea, but not everybody's doing that. So just do that. Look what big brands in your niche, usually outside of Amazon, not on Amazon. Look for the Nikes, look for the Guccis, look for the Ferraris of this world. Get inspired and create something similar. But it's very important to do it right. Okay? Because if you don't do it right, it will work the opposite way. It will work just against you. So if we want to do it with a designer, just make sure that he has done it before and he has done it successfully. You can see the results usually. So you just look at the portfolio, and if you don't like the things you see, then don't expect that in your specific case something will work better, because it won't. Usually the designers show their best works in the portfolio. So be critical about these things. So that's all what I wanted to say, just to think about branding, thinking big, because it doesn't matter what you are selling. If you're selling even the smallest thing in the world, if you're selling, I don't know, if you're selling socks, if you're selling cups or mugs, or I don't know, pencils, whatever, there are big brands that are selling these things, and you can copy them in a smart way and your sales will go up. We just see it every time, because this is what we do. We design our images for our clients and make them look like a big brand, and it works. So that's that. Get in touch with us if you want to learn more about that. So you can find us at Other Planet. If you just Google Other Planet Studio, you'll find us, but it's other-planet.com. So that's it. If you have questions and stuff like this, let's run through this.
Yeah, I think that was pretty cool. Some good examples there. I was just thinking about it for a second, and I was thinking about your comment around like, hey, figure out what the big brands are doing. Use that as inspiration, right? And I was just thinking about like other angles on that, right? And the other side of that is TikTok, and influencers and product marketing there, right? And this whole angle of like, just getting crazy creative around like, how do I get like people to just stop and like engage, right? Because like things are wacky or wild or different, right? So I think there's also the other side, which is like maybe looking at like what are the wild ways that like products are being showcased, through TikTok or younger influencers to kind of like arrest your thought process and get you to engage and get the click, right? And I was just thinking of one guy specifically. I think one of the bigger YouTube influencers on over the last couple of years, and one thing that he really specifically does is he taps into the psychology of doing things like kind of subliminally strange on his page. Like he'd be wearing an awesome suit but like not wearing socks, right? Or he'd be eating a banana but it would be peeling it like the opposite way around, which is supposed to be actually the right way, but like doing it differently, right? So like, how could you take something like really strange that would like gut check people and then do that in a subliminal way in your images, right? And seeing if that helps you get the click or the conversion, right? So I thought, I was just thinking like that might be an interesting angle of like using inspiration outside of like the bigger brands, but something that is a little bit more arresting, that plays into the psychology of people. Like, hey, like that's weird. Like you've got like a gorilla eating a banana upside down or whatever it is, like, and then click, right? So just an idea.
I absolutely agree with you. Just saying, first of all, big brands are doing that as well. And if you're looking at a big brand, don't look on their website. Look all over the place. Check their Instagram, check their TikTok, of course. Amazon tends to be a little bit of it's a conservative platform, let's say that. And if you're doing something strange, if you are in a bestseller position, it can go against you as well. So if you want to do something strange, and by the way, this is also a thing that I wanted to say about the idea of changing your main image to something else, even if it is potentially better, if it has a serious financial outcome, like for example, if you are selling, I don't know, thousands of dollars per day, and you change your image for a day and that doesn't work well, you might just lose those thousands of dollars, and it's a high price for an experiment. So if you want to try something weird, or if you want to try something you're not 100% sure about, it might be a good idea to use polls before you actually try it live on Amazon. So that's just something to think about. But definitely, you're absolutely right. Testing crazy ideas is might be very, very beneficial and might bring you that extra edge. But just repeating after big brands will bring you to a decent level, because most of the brands on Amazon are way below the decent level of graphic design and proper image representation. So just mimicking the big brands will bring you from way below to a good level, and then leveraging interesting ideas from TikToks and things like that will give you this competitive edge and will turn your brand from average, which is not bad, to something that's like super awesome.
Great. Yeah. Everyone rolls for the 99%, but they don't quite get to the 100%. So how do you get the extra 1%, right? That's going to make the big difference at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay. Well, we don't see too many questions coming through here that we haven't answered yet. I know we're almost out of time. I do want to do a quick round robin with us, just really around one question I'll ask, which is, if there was one thing that everyone here should focus on to help with their growth on Amazon or their business, what would you put forward? Anyone can go first. Tana, if you want to roll, what you got?
Yeah, I would say early testing all throughout the year, and don't test in Q4 because you don't want to get your listing shut down. So this next quarter is Q3. This is Q3. This is game time. This is when all your testing should happen, your images, your off-platform traffic. And so that's kind of what I would say. If you could do one thing, this quarter should be your quarter of testing, because you cannot risk tests in Q4.
I will just agree. I will say test your main image, because this is the most important thing that you can do after you have, like, I have the list of importance. And the first of all is, of course, the product and the price, because it kind of plays together. And then you have the reviews, but you have very, very limited options to change that when you already have your product on Amazon. And when you have it, like the next thing would be images. And the main image is the most important out of all of them. And sometimes just testing the image can bring you up like 200% higher in conversion as the image that Tana showed. So this is the main thing to test, because there's a funnel there, the funnel of sales. And if you bring more people through CTR, then if you have an okay conversion, it's the most important thing, just to bring more leads. It's golden.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think for me, I mean, one thing we had our OKRs, for Q3, right, with the business, which is objectives and key results. One thing that people were reflecting on Q2 and what have they been successful within the business and personal life. And a couple of people mentioned, like, hey, probably one of the biggest impacts they've had so far is, really using AI in a personal capacity, and what is that doing to their outputs in the work environment, right? And I would just suggest to people, if you're not really diving in on AI on your business, make sure you're diving in on your personal capacity and how you operate, because our team is starting to 2-3x their output, and all of the daily things that took a lot of time are getting automated, which is giving them more time to focus on the things that really matter and that can move the needle, right? And so that would be my advice, is like, test things in the Amazon space, but start to do some R&D and test in your workflows. Like, how can you really evolve those further so that you're getting the things that take time done automatically, or fed you the research, whatever it is. So really speeding up your input and then your execution. And if you can do that, even in your personal capacity, number one, you focus on the big ideas, but number two, it gives you ideas of what you can roll out into your business. And that's been a big game changer within ZonGuru over the last while. Okay. Thank you guys. That was awesome. I think it was perfect timing. Right out of the back of Prime Day, it's time to get in, learn from what went wrong in Prime Day and how to improve stuff and get right for Q4. So this is the time. You've got 3 people here you can connect with that is going to help you incredibly on your business. I hope you reach out. This will be live. It is live on LinkedIn right now. It's live on YouTube. You guys will get a replay. We'll send this over to Tana and Eli as well. You guys can roll it out on your social medias if you want. And look out for the next one. If you haven't signed up to our newsletter, sign up to our newsletter. You can get it on zonguru.com. That's where we will promote the next session coming up. We have 2 coming up, one in August, which is great. And then we have a pretty big partner webinar that's happening as well. So look out for that. This is the time, guys. Let's get ready, rolling out of this for Q4. Thank you so much. And Zach, you came in right at the end and said, "Well, we get a replay." Yes, we've said it a few times. It's there. You're going to get it. It's coming right after this. Thank you, everyone. See you later. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you. See you. Bye.